Hello friends, this is Ramna. Today I will show demo on how many ways to handle divide by zero encountered error. Okay, so first I will show my table. This is my table. Select sales from data. Okay, there are three columns: ID, revenue, quantity. Now, so I want to calculate revenue per each item. So this is a total revenue. So if I want to calculate the revenue per each item, you can calculate revenue by quantity. Okay. So here I am using revenue by star comma revenue by quantity as revenue per each item from sales data. Okay. So if I execute this query, you will get divide by zero encounter, because in the if you observe the quantity column, there are some zeros are there. For second item ID, it is showing 0 quantity, and also fourth item ID 0 quantity. Okay, so you cannot divide a number with 0. Okay, in this scenario we can handle by using Nullif. So this is the function. So it will take two arguments. When two arguments are same, it will return null value. When two arguments are not same, it will return the first argument. So this is how this function will work. Now I am using Nullif function. So before that I am giving one example how it will work. Nullif. So my first argument is 8. My second argument is 0. Okay. So if I execute this one, you will get 8. Okay. So my second argument also 8. Then it will return null. Okay. By using Nullif, so here I am taking, we have zeros in the quantity column. Okay. We have zeros in the quantity column. We have to divide revenue by quantity. Okay. That is the reason we are giving Nullif function. We are using Nullif function on quantity column, comma 0 as revenue per item. So if you execute this one, so you will get there is no error. So earlier when you are not using Nullif function, if you mention revenue by quantity, you will get the error. So divide by 0 encountered. So this time we can handle this error using Nullif function. In the Nullif function, I am taking the first argument as quantity. Okay, second argument is 0. Okay, when both are same, it will return null. See, for item ID 2 and item ID 4, it will return null because both are same. Okay, this is by using Nullif function. Next, so back to the table. So second method to handle this error is you writing case statement. Select star comma. So here I am using case statement. Case when quantity equal to 0. Quantity equal to 0. This is the condition. Then the result is 0. Okay. Else revenue by quantity. Okay. Else revenue by quantity. And as revenue per item from my table called sales data. Okay, if I execute this case statement, so you won't get any error. Okay, so here the condition is when quantity equal to 0, then 0. So when quantity equal to 0, then 0. Okay. Result also 0. Else, other than 0, else revenue by quantity, you will get, it will divide and it will get the result. So 1000 by 10 equal to 100, 1500 by 5 equal to 300. Okay. To avoid by using case statement like this. Okay. Now, the third way to handle this error. What is the third way to handle this error? I am using if. This is also similar like case statement. Okay. Select. I am taking all columns star. If quantity equal to 0, equal to 0, then 0. Okay. And next, else revenue by quantity as revenue per item from sales data. This is also like case statement. If quantity equal to 0, then 0, else revenue by quantity. Okay. So this is by using if. Next. So next one, I am using try cast along with Nullif. Try cast and with Nullif function. Okay. Select. So here I am taking ID comma revenue. Next, I am using try cast here. Try cast. So here I want to convert revenue as a float. Revenue as float. Okay. By divided by Nullif. Nullif. So here I am taking as usual quantity as the first argument. Okay. Second one is 0 as revenue per item from sales data. So you will get the same output. Wherever there is a 0, it will showing as a null. Okay. If you want to give quantity also, you can give. Wherever there is a 0, it is showing as null. We are using try cast. So try cast, I am converting revenue as a float by nullif of the quantity of the 0. Okay. This is by using try cast along with nullif. Okay. And the last one. So last one is somewhat you need to understand. So we can use, first you need to learn about the two properties, that is Arithabort. Okay. Arithabort. Okay. By default this property is on. Okay. What is this property? So Arithabort is an option that controls the server, handles arithmetic division by 0 or overflow errors during the query execution. Okay. So it is the option that controls the server, that handles arithmetic division by 0 or overflow the errors during the query execution. So by default, this Arithabort is on. We need to set off. Okay. Next property is ANSI warnings. ANSI warnings. Okay. So is on. So it is by default on. So this will, it will, if it is on, errors and warnings are raised, like divide by 0, or string is too long for the database column, and other similar errors. So that we can set this ANSI warnings as a off, so that you can avoid these error warnings are not raised. So, okay, how can we use these things while handling this error? Now, first you need to set Arithabort off. By default it is on. Remember, by default it is on. Set ANSI warnings. ANSI warnings off. Make these two properties off first. Okay. Next, select star comma. Okay. So here I am using revenue quantity. Revenue by quantity as revenue per item. Okay. From sales data. Next, set these properties as on. After executing this query, make these two properties as on. Okay, on, on. Okay, if I run this query, see here I am not using any function like nullif and trycast or case statement. If you execute the same query, single query, you will get the error. But here we are using two properties, Arithabort and ANSI warnings off first and execute the query, and again you can on this both these properties. By default these two properties is in on. If you want to execute the query like this by dividing the dividing by 0, any number dividing by 0, so better to first off these two properties and run the query, and again you can on. Okay, if I execute this query, see, you will not get any error. By these methods you can handle this divide by 0 encountered error. Okay, first by using nullif, second by using case statement, third by using if, and fourth one by using trycast with nullif, and fifth one Arithabort and ANSI warnings. Okay, hope this video helpful. How many ways to avoid this issue? Okay, thanks for watching the video. Thank you very much.